Hi, Stefan Swartling here from Swartling Network. I think the engagement on Google Plus is much lower now than it was before. I have over 60,000 followers on Google Plus, and before I had almost 500 comments on every post, and now I don't get more than maybe 10 comments or so on my posts. Yes, of course, some of that is because of that I only post my own content nowadays, my own videos, my own blog posts and so on. Before I posted other websites content on my Google Plus stream, so that's a huge difference, of course, but I see that there is not so much engagement anymore. Could it be that not so many use Google Plus anymore? Is Google Plus dying? I know that's a kind of silly question, but could it be that Google Plus is not so popular anymore? What do you think? That would be really sad if that's the case, because I live on Google Plus. I have everything on Google Plus. I blog on Google Plus. I post my YouTube videos on Google Plus and so on. My whole website is based on Google Plus, so I really don't hope that Google Plus is dying. But I sure would like to see some more engagement, more interaction on the posts. I don't see why there is so little engagement nowadays. And I know some of you don't like that I post both my video and blog post on Google+, but that's what I do. It's my business, so I first post my YouTube video, and the day after I do a blog post with that YouTube video and the show notes, and I use Blogger, and Google's Blogger post automatically to Google+, and I think that's a great feature. So that's why I post both my YouTube video and the blog post with the same thing. But I always add more content to the blog post so that it should be worth reading. So it's actually two different kinds of posts. I've just read this post about Apple could get rid of Qualcomm's baseband processor when they also get rid of Intel's processor and replace them with ARM chips instead. So I think that's only natural that if Apple are replacing Intel chips with ARM chips, they also tries to get rid of so many other parts, companies as possible. So Apple will do most of the stuff themselves instead, and be dependent on themselves instead of a lot of other companies. So if they will get rid of Qualcomm's baseband processors, they will, because they have the money and power to do this. I will link to this post below in the description text. Kind of interesting idea. I think Apple have huge plans to do everything themselves, everything in-house, both hardware and software, so they are not dependent on other companies. And I actually think that's the right thing to do, because then Apple can have even more control over user experience, and have more control over both hardware and software makes the user experience a lot better. Apple has already proven that many times with all the great devices and operating system and apps. Here's a pretty cool GIF that shows the evolution of the iPhone, how it has changed during these 8 years. I will link to the source below in the description text. And the iPhone has really changed during these 8 years, from being really small to really big. Look at the iPhone 3GS, for example, and the latest iPhone 6 Plus. And I really like those changes, but still the iPhone 3G, the iPhone 3GS has an excellent build quality, excellent device. It feels very good in your hand. And I actually think the iPhone 6 has gone back to that design a bit. Not so round on the back, but it has very round edges. And I like that a lot. At first it felt a bit slippery, but now I'm used to it. As you may know, I own the biggest Apple community on Google Plus with over 240,000 members. And I have some moderators, so they are moderating this community together with me. And at the top of this community, I have some rules set up, links to 2 pages I have created on my website about the rules and how you should do to post in this community. And as you can see here, I clearly state that if your post gets deleted, you haven't followed these guidelines. So I often just delete posts from here without saying why and so on, because if the user, the member, doesn't even care that the post gets deleted, it hasn't read these rules and are usually a spammer or something. And I also often check that the post is posted in the right category, because this community has a lot of different categories, as you can see here. So it's important to post in the right category in this community. So that is what I check often in this community, of the spam, and that posts are posted in the right category. And another thing that many members are doing wrong is that they don't post a description text above the link they are posting. So they usually just post the link, and that is against the rules. So you have to write something up here, a comment or your own thoughts or something. Because if that is not there, I will delete the post, no matter if the post is interesting or anything. So you have to write something there. I really like that Apple community. It's full of engagement and a lot of interaction, and most of the posts are very interesting, so it's fun to discuss with other users. So please check the community out. I will link to the community down below in the description text, so go check it out. According to the website The Next Web, is this how the new Google Calendar for iOS looks like. And I'm not sure why this should be better than, for example, Sunrise for iOS. I think Sunrise looks even better than this. But if you only use Google Calendar and nothing else, then maybe this could be good. But Sunrise supports so much more. Exchange calendars and iCal calendars. So this is for Google Calendar, and yes, it looks better than before, but I don't like the material design on iOS. I think that's too much of a difference from the iOS UI guidelines. I will link to this article down below, but personally I will still use Sunrise as my favorite calendar. If you have the money, buy the fantastical calendar app. It's much better than this.